You can always learn more. What's the right way to clean your gun? The right way to sight in, doing it faster, easier. Well, there's a new Firearms Fundamentals course, actually a course for rifle, pistol, and shotgun from the IHEA, and I'm talking with Leah Thomas about it. A quick note, in this interview, she said the cost of the course is $15. It's actually only $12. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Silencer Central, Silence Delivered, Caldwell Shooting Supplies, Armscore, and Loopold. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to shoot, that you don't intend to shoot. Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Be sure of the target and what's in front of it, behind it. Keep your finger outside the trigger guard, off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Leah, those are the four, those are the rules that we start with when we're starting to learn stuff. Let's start off here. Tell people about IHEA, what it is. Some people may be familiar with it, but what do they need to know? And then we'll kind of jump into the whole firearms fundamentals side of things.
Yeah, sure. IHEA is the acronym for the International Hunter Education Association. It's founded on developing and implementing standards around safe hunting, and it actually is bringing it into the next level this year with a new Firearm Fundamentals course too. So it's really all about ensuring that we're creating safe firearms owners, no matter what the application.
And that's a very important, obviously we all want to be safe, but it's a funny thing because I find myself sometimes going, there needs to be zero restrictions on guns. There needs to be zero requirements on buying a gun or carrying a gun. But at the same time, on the other side of my mouth, I'm like, but really seriously, you guys all need to get educated and become familiar and safe and competent. I don't want you to be required to do it, but I think you really should do it. And because, after all, we have a lot of new gun owners in our world now, and we want them to be competent and safe because frankly, I can be selfish about this. I don't want you jackasses screwing it up, and then the news is going to report on that one dumb guy who did something dumb with his gun. Fair enough?
100%. And then it's funny because even people who know those basic rules of firearm safety still have accidental discharges and things go wrong. And so I just don't think you can ever emphasize firearm safety enough. We sound like a bunch of old crows often, but the fact of the matter is that stuff happens and we don't want it to happen on our watch.
Yeah. Even all the filming stuff we do, we quite often have safety briefings pretty much before every filming session. We'll have some sort of safety briefing. Sometimes they're longer than others, but certainly if there's a brand new camera person who's working with us, it's a 5-minute safety briefing at least, and they're not even going to touch a gun. And it's one of the things we kind of brief them on is like, hey, you don't touch guns, you touch cameras and all that stuff. But, so people are probably familiar with hunter's education, but this is not Gun Talk Hunt. This is Gun Talk Nation. So we're talking about a new course that you guys are offering.
Yeah, we are offering actually 3 courses, one in handgun, one in shotgun, and one in rifle. They launched February 1st nationwide, and they're online courses. We designed them to make them accessible for everyone. So if someone's thinking about getting a firearm and wants to take a firearm safety course, it'll do everything from teach them about the various types of handguns, for instance, or shotguns or rifles, how they operate, how ammunition works with them, best safety practices, which you talked about, and a variety of other things like range etiquette, safe storage, how to clean them properly, all kinds of stuff. It's pretty intensive, and we're really excited about it because it addresses and makes accessible gun safety to anyone who has a digital device.
And it's accessible too because this isn't very expensive.
No, it's not expensive at all. For $12, you can take one course. I think it's $15. And then if you take 2, the price goes down. If you don't have to pay the same price for all 3 courses.
Gotcha.
If you took all 3, it would scale accordingly.
Yeah, the big
And
gulp package.
yeah, exactly. So someone could take all three if they wanted to for a deeply discounted rate, which is great.
Sure. Okay. And as I kind of poked around the website and looked at it, there is a ton of information, and it's an interesting thing because I think the stat, what is it, somewhere around 13 million brand new gun owners in the past year and a half or so. And I mean, most of us grow up with this. We grow up being taught by your dad, your uncle, your parent, your whoever,
Yeah.
and you kind of learn this stuff as you go, and it becomes part of who you are to know this stuff. But if you're a 47-year-old woman or something that you go, I need to buy a gun for my protection to have it. The problem is they buy it, and a lot of times people buy it and it sits in the box, and there's that one box of ammo they bought and it sits over there, and they just don't even, it wouldn't even be useful if something bad did happen.
Yeah, I don't think people ever even think about the training aspect of it. They just think, oh, I have a gun, I'm good to go now. And don't think about what goes along with that. I mean, the dry fire practice, just making sure you can actually hit the target. And so there's so many aspects of firearms ownership that if you don't know, like you said, you don't know.
Yeah. And I could see this being a nice way, even if someone didn't even own a gun, to go, hey, look, if you'd like to know a little bit more about this subject, it doesn't cost very much money. It's an easy commitment as far as you can do it on your computer, on your phone, in your home. You don't have to go to some gun store. You've never been to a gun store before. And now you can get a little bit educated. Maybe it's even something that you would do if you're intending to purchase a gun, or if you're intending to go take a handgun class. At least you're not walking in there totally blind.
100%. And some of our advertising around that is going to be targeted towards those types of people too. I mean, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I know I've made is just range etiquette. Like when you walk into a range and you've never been to a range before, you don't think about things like chamber flags or what the rules are when the range is hot or cold. And it can be overwhelming because the range master isn't going to take it lightly. And so it'd be great to be able to have everyone prepared for that, right?
Absolutely. And you're right. We have so much lingo in the world of guns. I mean, the guy may go, wait, you need to, you're flagging that guy. Oh, what am I doing? You're flagging him. What does that mean? Is that a chamber flag? No, that's something else. Do you have a chamber flag? What's that? Well, range is hot. Okay. What is it? What are we doing right now? And then it's like, range is cold. Cease fire. Okay, cease fire. I think I know what that means. I guess I'll clean my gun while they're doing this. No, don't touch the gun. We're going down range to switch targets out.
Or turn it sideways, or some stupid thing that you just don't know.
Yeah, and the problem is, depending on where you go, like you said, the range officer may be helpful or he may be just irritated with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about how I got started, and I got started probably like most people with a BB gun, and it was a very simple little lever action pump BB gun and shooting clay targets sitting on the ground, going with my dad to duck camp and that kind of thing. And then I remember I got to start shooting a 22, which I thought was the coolest thing in the whole world. And one of the ways he challenged me was taping a quarter to the target after I was starting to get good. And it was surprising with a quarter how hard it was to hit, even at, I don't know, we were probably 10 or 15 yards away, just sitting down on the ground, just trying to be precise and learning, just getting familiar, learning those lessons. But it's not, I don't think gun safety is natural to a lot of people. I think it's something that you have to get used to because, especially if you're an adult, you have to untrain yourself from all the dumb stuff you've seen on movies and TV shows. I mean, Leaha, how did you get started, and what was your experience?
I mean, I'm not positive the exact age that I pulled the trigger, but I know I was under 5 because my dad reloaded. And so I would help him cast bullets and he would load light rounds for me. And I would go out to the BLM land with him and sit on the hood of the truck and shoot pop cans, probably. I'm thinking it was probably. And we would do that every weekend. And I don't remember a lot of the four fundamental rules of firearm safety. I don't remember him really lecturing me on it, but I think it was just learned behavior. Like, you don't point this, you don't pull this unless you're ready to shoot, all of those kinds of things, right? So it just came really naturally. And then from there, we went out and shot small animals and stuff like that. But you're 100% right. I think in some ways, it almost causes us to take it for granted. I think I was in the firearms industry for a number of years, and we would all carry. And I had a friend whose daughter was killed from an accidental discharge. And that was a real awakening moment for me. Not that I handled firearms dangerously, but it really, really reinforced, don't aim the gun at anything you don't intend to destroy. Do not pull the trigger unless you're aiming it at your target. All of those types of really basic things that we all should own so that accidents don't happen, come alive real fast.
It has to become a part of who you are. It can't be it. I think about, I have little kids and they're learning how to spell words, and for them spelling words, they're having to like remember rules and stuff. You and I can just spell separate and we know how to spell that word. It just is there. And I think that's kind of when you think about gun safety, it just has to become a part of who you are. Hey, we'll be right back after this quick message. Silencer Central delivers your suppressor right to your door. That's right. I said it. They're doing it. And now you have e-forms, which means we're not talking about 9 to 12 month wait times. These are wait times to get maybe 90 days to get your silencer. So that's a big deal. Check them out at silencercentral.com. They make it super easy. They do it all through the mail and through online. So you fill out all your paperwork, they handle it with the ATF, and then they send it right to your door. Silencercentral.com. Caldwell Shooting Supplies. You probably know Caldwell, and in fact, you probably own some of their products. Those green and yellow, green and gold shooting bags, muffs, targets, portable range kit, all sorts of handy things to take with you to the range or hunting. And for anything not already discounted, you can use the code GUNTALK10 for 10% off. Go to caldwellshooting.com. Loophole, performance red dots. Loophole, they make stuff here in America, assembled, machined in Oregon, backed by the Loophole lifetime guarantee. The Delta Point Pro features a professional-grade optical system and an incredibly wide field of view. It delivers quick, precise, and repeatable adjustments with one MOA click adjustments. And the Delta Point Micro is the most compact, concealable red dot on the market. It mounts quickly and easily into the rear dovetail factory sights, so you don't even have to have an optics cut gun. Check them out at loophole.com. So as I look on the website and look at the study guide, and there's an incredible amount of information here. You have a handgun, you have a shotgun curriculum, you have a rifle curriculum, and it's kind of funny because it's some of the stuff that us gun nerds like to argue about, of like, where do you sight in your bullet at, or how to clean a gun. Who do you guys get to write this curriculum? Because it's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. The foundation of it is the hunter education course, because a lot of firearm safety is presented in there. But we also worked with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. We worked with state hunter education staff. We worked with tenured hunter education instructors. We also worked with conservation industry leadership. We bounced it off of a lot of different conservation organizations. And we also worked with professional hunters. So a lot of it's Hunter Foundation based. But the conservation industry leadership is where we were able to glean a lot more of the handgun information. And this course is going to be continually refined. It's every 6 months, we're going to continually add to it. And like right now, there's not anything, for instance, in the pistol on on holster retention, or even the best, safest holster to buy. And so we'll be adding content to it as time passes. The nice thing is once you've registered for it, you can always access it because you've got your passcode. And so you can go in and see if there's anything new. So,
well, something you said there reminded me that the IHEA, you guys work with most of the state wildlife agencies, right?
we work with all of the state
All of them.
wildlife
Okay.
agencies.
And
Yeah.
you're telling me they were actually seeing something interesting in how this thing all came about.
Well, yeah, what happened was we realized that 35% of hunter education students were not going on and getting their tags. And so last year, I think it was last year, they did a big survey of a lot of the former students. And we were stunned to learn that a significant portion of those students didn't get their licenses because they didn't want to hunt. They just wanted gun safety. And
Wow.
so it was kind of like, wow, there's a demand for accessible firearm safety education. And wouldn't it be great if we could build a program that we could offer through the states and the states could get behind? So we worked really hard to make sure that it was something that, as the state administrators viewed it, it was credible, it was real, and we're excited. We're just excited to be able to bring something to the U.S. public that's going to create safe Americans with firearms.
Yeah, I love that. And it's amazing to me when you think about that. All these people are seeking out firearms training and a gun safety class, and they defaulted to, I guess I'll take a hunter's ed course.
I know.
But I mean, you get it there. You certainly get some good information there. But it's amazing how 35% didn't even go buy a hunting license or tags later. They just said, I just want this. Where do they go from here, and what other programs would you guys have? Because I know there's a lot of other things that you guys do.
Yeah, there are a lot of other things that we do. I mean, we obviously have hunter education courses, which we oversee in all 50 states and Guam. But we also are working on some new learning platforms that will be launched later this year called learnhunting.org, because that other percentage of those 35% didn't get their license because they still did not feel like they got enough training from the hunter education course and things. It could be something like gutting out an animal or learning to set up a blind or something like that. And so we also have a huge list of instructors and a huge list of students who need mentored, and we have the instructors who want to be mentees. And so we're working to close that gap even more between the students that take hunter education and then actually getting them out into the field. So that's a big goal for us. That's our next step.
Do you guys see a movement with more people wanting to take these courses online versus showing up at your local Lions Club or something to take a hunter's ed?
I would say no. We just completed a study on that, and it's about 50-50. There's a demand for both. 5 years ago, I would have said people really want online. And I think COVID, because a lot of places were forced to go online, or most places were forced to go online, we learned that there is still a really high demand for in-classroom teaching. And I think we'll see a resurgence of some of that. Obviously, the online courses vary depending upon the state. Some states require a live fire day, some don't, some have a field day, some don't. But there's always, we think, going to be a demand for in-person and online training, unless some magic thing we could do like virtual reality training or something like that, which we've talked about. But in the meantime, we have nearly 50,000 instructors that love what they do and volunteer their time to create safe gun owners. And so we need to continually give them things that they can teach and do.
It makes such a difference. I've heard from a lot of friends, adults, who are getting into hunting and have gone and taken the course. And it's interesting when you grow up in it. And we were talking about like how you kind of maybe sort of take certain things for granted. And then your buddy reminds you of, the proper safe way to cross a fence or something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
which you don't ever think about as very much anymore, right? You just,
Yeah.
like you said,
Like,
it's part of who you are.
yeah. Okay. All right. You're right. We should do this the right way. All right. Fine.
Yeah.
I have a couple more sponsors to thank real quick. This company just has rabid fans. The Armscore Rock Island Armory. They're sort of sister companies. They make ammo and they make guns. And one of the guns they make this past year and a half that's kind of blowing the doors off of everybody is the STK 100. It's a 9mm and it's striker fired. It's their first striker fired gun. Their heritage is really in the 1911 world. And from that, Martin, the owner of the company, said it's got to have these certain features that make a 1911 so shootable. The grip angle, the extended beaver tail, but they also have 17 round capacity, Glock style mags, and an updated optics plate for universal mounts of red dots. They've also lowered the price to $499. Check that out at armscore.com. One of the cool products coming out lately is the Rig from Crimson Trace, the Rapid Illumination Grip, 500 peak lumen weapon light. It's absolutely ambi, and it mounts to any M-lock or Picatinny rail. And it's kind of if you think of it as a forward grip on your AR, but it has a light built into it, which is very, very cool. It's backed up by the Crimson Trace Crimson Protect lifetime warranty. And you can see more at crimsontrace.com. Okay, so let's talk about, this is just one that'll get people going. I don't know why, but if you talk about gun cleaning, people all have these very strong opinions about cleaning their guns. And I'm looking, it's like where to use a brush, where to use a cleaning rod, and a cleaning cable, and talking about the different ways to do this. I mean, things that can be picked up by, figuring out, especially certain different types of guns, because it's one thing if it's a lever action or a bolt gun. Bolt guns to me are like stone simple. You take the bolt out and there's the barrel right there. But what if you do have an AR? What do you do have a pump shotgun? How does that all work? Because you're not shoving a rod down. You don't just open up the action of a pump shotgun and shove a rod in there. It's not going to go well.
No, and cleaning is a complicated module. I think our cleaning module right now is pretty basic, just because there are so many types of firearms. It's very complicated to explain all of that in one fell swoop without someone paying for a lot of content filming time.
Sure.
And that's one of the struggles that I think that we have as an organization is just getting partners on board sometimes to fill in those gaps for safe firearms ownership. And we've been really blessed because we do have some really great partners for the Firearms Fundamentals course and 6 Hour and Muzzle Stick, but there's always room for a company to get behind something like this and be able to reach into the public with their products and their messaging that, hey, we care about you. We care about you and your safe experience with guns.
Yeah. What happens if somebody goes through this and, I mean, is there a test at the end or how does that all work?
There is a test at the end. You get a certificate of completion. There's some speculation that some states may use that for additional opportunities, like concealed carry or things like that. But right now, this program is really in a pilot stage. The promotion of it this year will be through grant funding from the Fish and Wildlife agencies. So our hope is that by the end of this year in the 11 states that we're really promote piloting it and take it anywhere. But we'll have best practices book for all the other states to be able to promote it and see success in their states as well. That's
great. So what are the 11 states you guys are focusing on? You said it's not necessarily all over.
Well, you can take it in any state. There are some states, the Southeastern Fish and Wildlife agencies have a $275,000 grant from the Fish and Wildlife that will allow us to advertise this program in their states. And those states it was their choice to participate too. So we have Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Kentucky, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas.
Wow.
So it's a big part of the country to be focusing on. And but it's also, there's a lot of gun shows in that area too. So we feel pretty good about being able to get to consumers that might be new or just having purchased a firearm in those areas.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're seeing it. I mean, we're seeing it all over the place. More people wanting to take gun courses. I think of it like knowing how to swim or something like that. It's like, even if you're not trying to be an Olympic swimmer, it's still a really good idea to know how to swim. And that goes for adults and it goes for kids too. I mean, even if you said, well, I don't have any guns, we're not a gun family or hunting family. Where are your kids going? You know, they're going over to their friends' houses. What are they going to do if they see a gun? Do they even have any idea? Because I think if you just say nothing, I mean, now you're just kind of leaving it up to, well, I hope they do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be ideal if we could get some of this curriculum into the hands of like young people and teens, just so that they know what to do if they come across a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
We were blessed, Ryan, to be able to be in a firearm owning household where we knew exactly how to handle all that. But again, like you talk about the differences in cleaning, it's no different between if you come across a semi-automatic pistol versus a revolver. How do you check and see if it's loaded if you don't know anything about firearms? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see firearm safety being taught in schools. But at the very least, this is a great way for anybody to go on and say, hey, we're going to spend a few hours on this course, or I guess you could take as long as you wanted to just do it a little bit at a time and get, your wife or your kids or whoever just more familiar with it.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the beauties of it, is because it is digital. You can learn at your own pace. So if you have a really busy lifestyle, you can take a 15-minute break and go through a portion of it and then pick back up later on.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to do continuing ed stuff these days. We're all doing self-improvement, whether it's, fitness or diet or whatever. Now it could be gun stuff.
Duolingo.
Yeah, that's right. Duolingo. Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is really cool. So Leah, where do they go to find out more about what you guys are doing?
There's two ways you can get to us. You can hop on the IHEA website and look under the courses section, or you can go to just go straight to the course and go to ffcourse.org. And that'll dump you right into the page where it gives you just a general overview of the courses, and you can immediately choose which one you want to take and go from there.
Very cool. Well, if you're listening to this, I challenge you. You probably know stuff. You're probably the gun person in your family or your group of friends, but I challenge you to find somebody to send that link to say, hey, this is a cool thing. It costs like $15, and then you could actually know something about guns rather than being ignorant. I mean, be educated. So thank you very much, Leah. This has been great.
I appreciate you having me, Ryan. And I just would encourage anyone that's watching this, even if you are a firearms owner, you can never, ever be educated enough. We just take so much for granted, and life is just so valuable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Safety first, guys. That's it for us. We will see you guys next time on Gun Talk Nation.